Hey guys, so for youth group for the last couple of weeks, what we've been doing is every Wednesday we put out a video of just a little teaching out of a different psalm, just a little devotional. So you're going to get the exact same sort of message that I gave yesterday for youth group. I'm just going to read through the first couple of verses of Psalm chapter 40, and we'll just kind of talk about those. Psalm 40, verse 1. I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. He drew me up from the pit of destruction, out of the miry bog, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. You know, how wonderful is it to know that we have a God who hears us, and he hears our cry even when we're in the pit. You know, last week in youth group, one of the characters that we talked about was Jacob. And Jacob, all throughout his life, he was in all sorts of pits. I mean, we see these, metaphorical pits that people are in all throughout the Old Testament. And one of these characters, the big one that we see is in the story of Hannah. And we find that story in 1 Samuel chapter 1. Hannah is married to a man named Elkanah. And Elkanah has two wives, Hannah as well as Peninnah. And Hannah and Peninnah, there's obviously a little bit of a rivalry there. And Peninnah is able to have children, and Hannah is not. And Hannah, is very upset about that. The Bible says that Elkanah actually favors Hannah. And while they are worshiping the Lord at Shiloh, he gives her double portions. And Peninnah then makes fun of her and mocks her because of her lack of children. And there's probably a lot of jealousy involved and everything else. But we see that it really distresses Hannah. It makes her very upset. And it makes her so upset that one morning she wakes up before she eats, before she drinks, and she's out praying to God and right outside of the tabernacle. And she's praying so hard and so fervently. The Bible says that she was just moving her lips, that no words were coming out or anything else. And as the priest Eli came by, he thought that she was drunk, just absolutely drunk. And so he says to her even, put away the wine. And she says to him, in verse 16 of chapter 1 of 1 Samuel, do not regard your servant as a worthless woman, for all along I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation. We see this real pit in Hannah's life. And as she's praying to God so fervently, so faithfully, we see that God answers that prayer. She's able to have a child. The Bible says that it's not too long after that she conceives and then gives birth to Samuel, who would be one of the greatest prophets and judges in the history of the nation of Israel. In verse 3 of Psalm chapter 40, it says, He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord. Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust, who does not turn to the proud, to those who go astray after a lie. You have multiplied, O Lord my God, your wondrous deeds, your thoughts toward us. None can compare with you. I will proclaim and tell of them, yet they are more than can be told. I think about this time that we're in right now, this time of quarantine. And for many people, this could be a time of great vexation. It could be a time that causes great anxiety. People with health problems, people with depression issues, all of a sudden being locked in their homes. People with addictions, being stuck in their homes and forced to face their addiction day after day. But we have a God who hears us even in our cry, and he pulls us out of the pit, and he puts a new song in our mouth. That's just what it even says right here. Finally, when we read the last verse, you have multiplied, O Lord my God, your wondrous deeds and your thoughts towards us. None can compare with you. I will proclaim and tell of them, yet they are more than can be told. Every single one of us has things in our life that point to God, wondrous deeds that he's done in our life. I can think of times where, in abnormal ways, God's given me money to pay bills that only he knew that I was having trouble with. Or, getting a new car for free when I was, stuck in a pit, basically, right? We all have different times in our life that if we open our eyes and we look, we can see how God's worked in our life.